Welcome to this month's Desk Side Chat. This month, our featured guest is Jackie Wilke, a advisor consultant with First Trust. Many of you know Jackie, follow her content, and see her on LinkedIn. Jackie, you have been a big supporter of what we've been doing. Certainly appreciate you supporting our efforts and definitely appreciate you stepping up to the mic and joining us this month. The topic of conversation is it's a revolution, the modern investor value and growth. And we're going to get into a number of things around that topic today. But before we do, Jackie, if you could just provide a quick background on yourself and what you're doing with First Trust, so that those members who may not be familiar with you can get caught up to speed. I know, again, a lot of us have been following you, but if you could give us a quick background, then we'll jump into the topic.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I love a community where financial professionals come together to share ideas. Like we were talking about, there's no competition in this industry. There's the right professional for the right investor, plenty of clients to go around. So I am with First Trust Portfolios. If you're not familiar with First Trust, we're on the asset management side. We are the 5th largest provider of actively managed ETFs. We also offer unit investment trusts, alternatives, structured products, and we got into the direct indexing space, which is super exciting. So if you aren't familiar with First Trust, would love an opportunity to get to know you, get to know your business, potentially connect you with your local wholesaler. So I've been at First Trust for 13 years, which time's flying. I've been in the business development practice management space for 8 of those years. I work with financial professionals across the country, across firms, across life cycles of the business, essentially here to help you with working on the business as we work in this business. So I do consulting, coaching, speaking. I write a blog called Insights and Innovations. If anybody wants to get signed up for that, quick idea every single week from the conversations that I'm having. And just excited to be here. I always love talking about this side of the business, overcoming your obstacles and chasing opportunities, because growth is always important, but we have to also be conscious of fortifying what we have built. So that's part of what we'll get into today.
Outstanding. And we've talked about this, and a lot of us are aware that the industry is transforming, it's evolving, client expectations are changing, fee compression, the competition obviously continues to be a challenge for many advisors who are looking to grow. And with all these things kind of coming together, it's important for advisors to have solid and clean messaging. So can you talk a little bit about your experience in working with advisors, where this topic came from, and why it's such an important thing for us to focus on?
Yeah. So like it or not, things are changing around us. Change is inevitable. It's always happening. And in our industry in particular, the things that you pointed to, the democratization, the commoditization, and the priorities, preferences, values, needs of the investor have changed, especially when we look across generations, younger investors, building wealth, inheriting wealth. Next gen is a big thing that I focus on. And it comes down to, I'm on airplanes a lot, and I was watching this, I don't know if it's a documentary or a show on Netflix. Jonah Hill interviews his psychologist, his therapist, this man named Phil Stutz. And it's really interesting if you like human behavior psychology. It's a great documentary. And in it, he asks his therapist, his psychologist, he asks him, what is it that you really do? And he says, I help people change. And change is one of the hardest things that we can help someone do. So Jonah Hill's follow-up question is, okay, so your goal is to help people change. It's one of the hardest things to do. Humans don't really like change unless we think we're going to be able to go towards something that's going to make our life better or avoid pain. So he asks him, how do you do that? And Phil says, I simply help them believe that it's possible. And that kind of stopped me in my tracks, because from the individuals and teams that I talked to, if I ask them, do you feel like a therapist these days more for your clients than anything else? They would say, yeah, absolutely. And that's incredible. So financial professionals today, the ones that are future focused, high performing, it's not about the money. They do so much more than that. They do so much more than manage money. They navigate complexities. They help clients believe it's possible to achieve their goals. And that's incredible. So that means that what we do is more on the human side, the people side, the behavior side. The portfolio management, the investments is just a piece of that puzzle. I like the analogy of a watch. Your ideal client, the client that if you could have 20 of this individual, this couple, this household, this family, if you could have 20 of them, what is it that they value? Why do they work with you? What is it that you do that, yeah, sign me up. I'm happy to pay whatever the price is. And it's usually not because of how the watch is made. How the watch is made, of course, they expect the watch to work. That's why they bought it in the first place. Nobody's going to buy a watch that doesn't work, but why they bought the watch is not usually because of how it's made. So the formula, the framework in our marketing and our communication, on the agendas in our meetings and our content, everything has to follow the framework of who and why, powered by what and how. Too often when I sit down with an individual in a team, even at the enterprise level, when we're not seeing the outcomes that we want to see, it's because we're getting it backwards. We're starting with the what and the how. And Theodore Roosevelt famously said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So who and why has to come first. Who is your ideal client? Why do they work with you? What is it that you solve for? It's usually the behaviors. Well, we work with clients from all walks of life. A lot of these things that we do, they could do on their own, but they work with us. They trust us because they don't have the time, the knowledge, or the desire to navigate all the complexities that come with building, preserving, and passing on total wealth. That's what you do for your clients. And the other who and the why is you, the financial professional. Who are you? People want to know who you are as a person as much as they want to know that you're qualified in the expertise to help them with the things that they need help with. Relationships are a huge part of our industry. And what's your why? Why are you passionate about this? Why do you love what you do? Why did you choose these other team members? Why are you getting that accreditation? This technology platform. So who and why, powered by what and how, is the formula, the framework that we want to use. And we have some new tools, some new resources at First Trust to help you cultivate that who and the why. So one of the new resources that we have is a client personal profile. So whether it's part of the onboarding process or you integrate it into the experience for existing clients, if we want to deliver more personalization, more customization, that creates that experience, right? Maya Angelou said it best. People forget what you said, forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. If we want to proactively control the experience, and we can do that in a lot of ways with what we do and what we say, we have to collect the data to play them back to them. And that's how we connect across genders, across generations, with people that might look exactly like us, have the same experience, but how do we play them back to them? That's where they'll foster a deeper connection to us. That's where our value becomes greater. They're buying the value regardless of the price. So the client personal profile is a new tool to help people capture that data. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me on LinkedIn, reach out to your First Trust wholesaler. They have a copy of it. But as part of the process, because we always want to have a process, it's how we deliver consistency and continuity. It's something that you would put in front of a client before a meeting. So they're waiting in the office, kind of like before you go in to see your doctor. It's a quick form that you put in front of them. Now, for a lot of your clients, they know that you should know these things. So you're just going to give that disclaimer. Hey, we know a lot of these things that we're going to ask you to fill out. The reason that we're trying to capture it all in one piece is so that as a team, we can put everything into one centralized location so that we can continue to elevate how we serve you. Oh, okay. And your clients are happy to fill it out. And talking about the next generation, one of the things that is keeping a lot of teams up at night is the great wealth transfer. And we hear these numbers, we hear these statistics. I think one study I recently read said the wealth transfer is going to happen over the course of the next 15, 20 years. That's a long time. What do we do about it today? So when we talk about the next generation, I think that we got a little too excited about millennials. Don't get me wrong, we're very important, building wealth, inheriting wealth, but it's also about your client's next generation. In our industry, we do have an older client base on average. So your clients that are 70, 80, 90, the kids are 50s, 60s, 70s in their own right, and they're probably your ideal client. There is so much money in that family tree, whether we're going down to generations horizontally to siblings and in-laws, up the family tree to parents. There's so much money in that family tree, but the risk is in that wealth transfer. Imagine you're in your late 60s, your parents pass away. Awful. You're dealing with grieving the loss, you're dealing with the maybe dynamics of the family, the inheritance, the estate, everything else. And on top of that, you get a phone call. Hi, we were your parents' financial professionals. This is who we are, what we do, how we do it, for whom we do it. We'd love to set up a meeting. Kind of sounds like, hey, we care about you now that you have the money. And if that next gen decision maker is in their late 60s, most likely one of two things is happening. They're going to liquidate that inheritance check and go buy a boat, or they're going to take it to their financial professional. So when we talk about next gen, the wealth transfer, what I do with individuals and teams is starting with your existing clients. That's where we have to fortify what we've built, but also identify those opportunities for growth. So one of the processes that we have, it's very turnkey, scripts, checklist, timelines. We try to make things as simple as possible at First Trust. Simple is not always easy, but we'll try to make it simple. It's called the family phone call, this process. And it's your way of getting a warm, proactive introduction to the people most important to your clients. And we use that language specifically. Who is this for? Why is this of value to your clients? Well, it's for the people most important to them, however they define family. So that's where you can capture horizontally in the family tree, up the family tree, or if your clients didn't have kids. Okay, maybe it's going to be nieces and nephews, your best friend's children, or maybe family dynamics are complicated. So they're only going to have one of the 4 children on the call. But you get that proactive introduction, which is absolutely critical to putting yourself in the position where you are deciding if those next gens or those family members are a fit for your business. Not everyone in that family tree is going to be a good fit. You want to be in the position to decide whether or not they're going to be an ideal client for you. Asset attrition is only a risk if we don't plan for it. It can actually be a catalyst for growing down with the right people. So in this process, it's a 10-minute call. So it's incredibly scalable. It's not a 2-hour family meeting. It's not a 5-hour planning session. It's 10 minutes. What's the benefit for the client? What's the content? Why would they say yes to this? Well, you're introducing yourselves so that those people most important to them know if they needed anything, they can access you, the experts. Package it as a 20-minute Ask Anything session resource on demand if they need it. So the people most important to your clients now know if they need anything, a second opinion, a sounding board, they feel like they don't know what they don't know, they can get 20 minutes of access to the experts. So for your clients, that's huge. And everyone has those clients. They don't want the kids to know how much money they have. Well, it's not about the money. It's usually never about the money, right? Money is the tangible thing that they can point to. But for those clients, you're saying, hey, we're going to make sure that those loved ones of yours are able to come to us. They know exactly how. So they're less likely to go to the internet or their friends who don't know anything. That's really what your clients are worried about: stewardship of wealth, financial literacy, habits, values. So in the process, it's pretty incredible the stories that have come back, individuals and teams that have gone through it. Again, very simple and turnkey, but things that they've learned. So if you find out that your client's brother-in-law who lives in Chicago is a business owner, okay, how can we find out more about him? How can we proactively prospect him? Hey, we work with clients from all walks of life, but we do have a particular expertise in helping business owners navigate their liquidity event. If we can ever be a resource, we're happy to share some of the perspective, the do's and the don'ts, the frequently asked questions that we get from clients like you. So whenever we're doing marketing, whether it's client engagement, communication, new client acquisition, the content has to be relevant. Back to that who and why. Who is our target audience? Why would they care about what we're talking about? The more specific, the better. So whether it's with that existing client, their family, their personal and professional networks, other markets that you're going after, that's your one to some. We're speaking to an audience who has something in common. So you're speaking their language, you're addressing their pain points, you're using their words, their frequently asked questions. I was on a call this morning with a team in Pittsburgh area, and they were saying that They were trying to explain to their clients, this was just one example, they were trying to explain to their clients this new designation that they were getting on estate planning. And the client's eyes just kind of glazed over and they were like, oh, we're telling you about why we're doing this, but not explaining why it's relevant to you. And once they did, the clients were like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, we don't know what's going on with our estate plan. We'd love to have that conversation. We'd actually love to bring our kids in for that conversation for their estate plan. So again, who and why powered by what and how. That way your what and how the watch is made is the solution. It's an up service. So if you want to make a change in the asset allocation strategy, you want to introduce a new product, a new service, if it's always in pursuit of those clients, their why, it's relevant for them, their goals, their priorities, their preferences, their values, it's an up service, not an upsell, because people know when they're being sold to. And why work with a financial professional in the first place? It's because people want people. Not investors don't need to work with a financial professional anymore. There's a reason your business card doesn't say stockbroker. If someone wants to get into the market, they can get into the market. They work with you because of you, the relationship, the value, the expertise, the things that you sell for that help them sleep better at night, that feel relieved. When your clients leave a meeting with you, they're not going to talk to their spouse or their family or their friends about, well, this is why we have a 10% asset allocation to Europe right now. No, they're talking about, I feel a lot better about where I'm going. Or I feel like I have clarity about the things that I really want to get out of life. Or, okay, I can retire the way that I want to retire. Or I have this happen, one advisor, their client retired, played golf for a month, decided he hates golf. So now he's trying to figure out what else he's going to do in retirement. So you being that first phone call, you being the strategic facilitator, you being their person, that's where the value lies. Who and why, powered by what and how. Whether it's with that client, their personal and professional networks, your content marketing, your digital marketing, whatever you're doing, that's what you have to root it in. Why is this relevant for them? Why you? What's your passion? Who are you? Who is the team? Not just as professionals, but also as people. This is where I see individuals and teams, like I said, fortify what they have built because it's still cheaper to keep a client than it is to get a new one, and turn their existing clients, their COIs, into advocates. So much so that they're like, oh, you have to talk to my financial professional. You have to talk to my team. They work with people like us. So the more defined your ideal client, the more defined your target audience, the clearer it will be for them to self-identify that they're a good fit for you as much as you're a good fit for them.
Oh, I am so happy that you joined us. You have so much incredible insight and experience in working with successful offices that are implementing. And I love how you talk about it. You have to have the process, you have to have scripts, you have to have these things in place. What are some of the things that you've seen as far as the most successful advisors in implementation? So I think we've established, and many advisors know that this is important, right? And there is a game plan, and you have some resources to help game plan. But when it comes to execution, what are some things that the most successful advisors are doing to make sure that they're actually following this process through?
Great question. They're starting small because consistency is more important than anything. So if you wanted to start a client newsletter, you want to do client events again, you want to do educational webinars, start small, because doing them consistently where people can rely on and trust that you're going to be able to deliver on what you said you want to deliver on. If you say we're going to do an event, just fun, maybe you're going to do a shredding event at the end of tax season. If you say you're going to do it, it has to be great for people to trust in your word, for people to trust that you can deliver on the things that you say you're going to deliver on. So start small and build from there. If you try to boil the ocean, so to speak, it's never going to happen. And then you're going to go in a million different directions. And the next thing you know, it's spread very thin. And when you're the jack of all trades, master of none, the value's diluted.
I need to hear so much of this. It's funny. Some of the things, right, that we talk about are more relevant to me than I feel like, or as relevant as they are to advisors, because some start small, not boil the ocean. These are things that just keep coming up in the things that we're trying to do with the group. But certainly from an advisor standpoint, I think that's great advice, Jackie. We're gonna now move on to the backstage pass portion, where we'll get some engagement with members who are in attendance. But before we shut down this public portion, if you could once again just mention the best way. You mentioned your blog. What's the best way for advisors to continue to tap into your expertise and the resources that you have in First Trust?
Yeah. So the best way is through your First Trust wholesaler. If you don't know who that is, I'd love to make the introduction. We put a lot of time, resources into our human capital. We're very, very proud of the team that we have that's here to support financial professionals. We're all in on the professional. We don't do traditional marketing. We allocate all of those resources into putting people, products, solutions in place that are designed for the financial professional. So First Trust Wholesaler is your best person. If you don't know who it is, I'd love to make an introduction. They're going to help you navigate who, what, where, when, why, how. We have a team of 6 people that do what I do. So different areas of focus, different areas of expertise. So when you come across an opportunity or an obstacle in your business, your wholesaler is the one who's going to help you navigate what resource, which person that's going to help you figure out, help you get to where you want to go faster. No need to reinvent the wheel.
Awesome. Again,
LinkedIn's also a good one too.
LinkedIn's a good way as well. Again, just to reiterate, can't thank you enough for the support you've shown us, but also just today, your insight and expertise. Really appreciate you joining us. I know if you have the capacity, Jackie, we're going to ask you to come back again at some point down the road. So much good information, and again, real experiences with advisors that are making an impact and actually implementing these things. So with that, we'll shut down the public portion. We'll switch over to the backstage pass and engage with members. Thanks again, Jackie, for joining us this month. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.